Good morning, good people. It's your man Cam. I want to jump on here and talk about this State of the Union address in which I got a lot of notes taken down, but I hadn't had time to really read over them to go into detail like I would like to. But to touch on some of the things that were said in this State of the Union address, I want to start with the fact that majority of the time, all this guy was doing was boasting and bragging about himself and about the Republican Party, and did a lot of bashing of the past president or the last president and of the Democratic Party, in which this is truly only the second State of the Union address I've ever watched. But the one that I did watch was with Biden, in which I didn't watch all of it, just like I didn't watch all of this one with the current president either. But one thing I can say, there wasn't a lot of party bashing. I didn't hear Biden talk a lot of negative or say a lot of negative things about the Republican Party, in which I can pretty much say that more than likely most of the addresses do not go the way that this past one did. And I just feel from just watching this that he's very unprofessional in the way that he conducts business and the way that he handles himself as well. But to touch on some points in this address that he spoke about, for one, the WHO, which is the World Health Organization, he, just like any and everything that he does, he brags about the things that he do, but he basically ended, or is trying to end, but in his mind he has ended this bill or this act in this organization, in which this organization is important because, like I said, it's the World Health Organization. And so they literally made sure, just kind of like the other organization I spoke on not too long ago, but they were making sure that certain diseases and things like that doesn't spread, and make sure as well that countries like Ukraine, a lot of African countries, Israel, as well as Gaza, that when there's issues like war and stuff like that, they help them, they send aid to them, things like that, in which he has ended that, and he made a big deal about how he was ending these types of bills, even though it was a lot of things sprinkled in there that majority of us have not ever heard of as well, just to cover up the fact that he's getting rid of important committees or organizations or groups as well, in which that's an important one, because like I said, they help stop or prevent cholera from spreading, and they also took a part in help combating COVID. But yeah, he made a big fuss about how he got rid of that, as well as the ending of the diversity, the race and diversity inclusion act or bill. He got rid of that, and in getting rid of it, in speaking about it, I should say, he made it out to seem like that bill or that act was put into place just to make sure that blacks and brown people, as well as women, were just hired in positions that they didn't deserve. Which we know that bill and that act was not put into place to just put a face or a certain gender into a position. Because you have a lot of highly qualified brown and black people, a lot of highly qualified women that were not getting certain positions because of their race and because of their gender. Not because they didn't deserve it. It was because of, once again, their race and gender. And so that act was put into place to make sure and to help prevent those types of situations from reoccurring. But when he spoke about it, he said, well, people shouldn't be getting jobs and he mentioned certain career fields just because of their race and gender. So we're getting rid of the Race and Diversity Inclusion Act or what have you. But once again, the stupidity of this president and the stupidity of his Republican Party and of his followers, they turn something that truly is a lot more intricate into a simple matter, in which these are not simple matters. These organizations aren't simple organizations. It's a lot more detail that's involved in these bills and acts, and he just making them out to seem like they were just non-important and all they were doing was taking more money from the government. In which, once again, like I say, his only true feelings are to try and bring more money back to this country. But in the meantime, he's destroying the citizens of this country. But like I said, that Race and Diversity Inclusion Act was to make sure that qualified black and brown people, as well as women, got positions that they worked hard in order to get and not be cast aside just because of their race and gender. In which I wanted to touch on that because a lot of people will listen to what he says and go up into a hoorah because they don't know the details, or they don't care enough to know the details. As well as what I want to speak on, he ended I can't think of the exact name of it right now, but it was a school education course. I don't know I believe it was high school. It may have as well as been for colleges as well. But basically this course was designed to go in depth about how once again, brown and black people and women and things, how society, I can't think of exactly, I'm gonna have to find out more information about it, but it was basically about race and things like that, and how society or something. But anyways, he ended that as well. And like I said, I know the name of it, I wrote it down, but I'm gonna have to dig more into that and give y'all more detail on that. But a lot of people who keep up with things know what I'm talking about, in which people should have the right to take the type of courses that they want to take. And that course should still be included in the school system, because when you reach a certain age or a certain level in school, you have options. You can choose to take gym class or to take band or whatever it may be. And so people weren't forced into this course. A lot of these and all of these students chose to take this course because they wanted to know more about what this course entailed. But yet, with this, and I'm going to say it because this guy truly is a racist. Whether or not people want to believe it, that's their problem. Because even slave owners back in the days had certain black slaves that they gave a little bit more leniency towards, but they still had a hatred for the black race or for the brown and black people. So once again, that's the ignorance and the shallow-minded thinking of people to not see through what this guy is doing and who this guy truly is and what he truly believes in. Because once again, for the brown and black people, and I'm not saying because I haven't lived anywhere else, but make America great again. America has always been a struggle for the brown and black people. America has, for the most part, not ever been great for the entirety of the brown and black race. So for people of our color to follow along with this nonsense as far as make this country great again, it has not ever been great for us. And he's getting rid of these acts and these bills because he don't give a darn about us. Because once again, these bills and acts were put into place to make sure that we got our just due. And not just to put, once again, a face and a gender into a high position. He also, in which we knew it was coming, got into the tariffs and all this stuff about how the tariffs are just a great thing, in which, once again, he used certain types of action words and verbs or whatever have you when he speaks that helps make something that really isn't important seem like it's just the best thing ever. But he was talking about how great the tariffs are and how because of the tariffs, certain businesses are coming back to America, how Apple is going to start building more factories or bringing more business to America in opposed to over in China, in which that makes no sense to me because Apple is an American company. You get what I'm saying? So in the first place, why is Apple deciding to go to China? But they're only doing that because of the tariffs, okay? They're not bringing their businesses over here because they feel like America is a good place in order to do business. They're only doing it because they're being forced into bringing their businesses over to America or back to America. You get what I'm saying? And so I say that because when somebody wants to do something for you, it's a lot better interaction in opposed to when you're forced to do something that you don't want to do, but you're only doing it because you're forced into that situation. So is it a good thing? He makes it out to seem like it is just because the businesses are quote unquote deciding to come back to this country. But is it a good thing because they're being forced to come back? What is that going to do to the prices of things? Is that really going to cause the price of an iPhone to be less when they're forced to come back here? Maybe, maybe not. But also he was talking about how, was it Honda? But anyway, one of those car companies, I can't even think of the name of it right now, but they're going to build a factory up in Indiana, quote unquote. And once again, they're doing it because they don't want to have to pay the tax on having their cars and materials for the cars shipped back and forth. And so they're going to build a factory in Indiana. And he just made it out to, once again, it seemed like such a big deal, saying how car companies are coming back and that the car industry is going to boom here in the United States. But the thing is that on average, a car plant brings about 1,000 to 3,000 jobs to a community, in which that's quite a few jobs. But in one department alone, since this guy has been in office, he has gotten rid of close to or over 7,000 employees. So you boast about bringing back jobs or bringing back companies to this country, but yet you are destroying more lives than lives that are going to be helped. But once again, it's not about the civilian people in this presidency. It's about trying to make himself look good, bringing big bucks back to this country as a whole and not bringing big bucks back to the communities. But once again, when people hear, oh, such and such is going to build a factory here in Indiana and it's going to bring more jobs and it's bringing back business, oh, what? They a standing ovation. Let's applaud that. But once again, even if this plant brings more than 3,000 jobs and brings 5,000 jobs, that's still less jobs it's bringing back to this country than the amount of jobs that he has gotten rid of and that he is going to get rid of in the future, because more people are going to lose their jobs as this presidency continues on. And we know that for a fact because he said it. He made a statement about agreeing with something that they're going to be doing. And if you don't agree with it, then you're going to get fired. Point blank, period. Like, this dude is really coming in and he's ruling with the fist of iron, which is not how it's supposed to be when you are in a position to where you have to have compromise. You have to be able to listen to people and not think that whatever you say is the only way. In which we've seen that time and time again, to where somebody corrects him about what they know is right, and he still continues on with what he thinks is right. In which that is not a good sign or a sign of a good leader. You have to have listening skills and know that whatever you say is not going to be the only way to be able to accomplish certain things in life. He also, and I said this when he was in office the first time, that this dude is going to be the beginning of World War III. Point blank, period. On top of causing a civil war here in the United States. And I said that the first time he was in office. Because now you have China responding to him because of the tariffs that he's put out there and the type of speech that he uses when he's speaking about foreign countries. And China responded and said that China is ready for any type of war that America is ready to start. Tariffs, trade war, whatever kind of war. Meaning that on top of the tariffs and the trade wars, they will go into a combat war with America. And I'm going to be honest with you. We are not prepared as a country to be able to defend and hold off China. I don't care what has been fed into the minds of the people of this country. Our military is not big enough and is not strong enough to be able to defeat China. China, whether they are ranked number 2 on the list of the most powerful armies or most powerful, defense or whatever, they are number 1. China has more people more military personnel than what the United States has. Okay? And we know when a war is fought, a war is not just only fought on your home turf, but also fought in the enemy's territory. And if we set foot in China, we most definitely are setting ourselves up and setting our military up for doom. Because you hear the stories on how they claim that when the war was fought with the Korean War, the United States did not win that war. No, Vietnam. The United States did not defeat Vietnam. The United States had to concede to Vietnam. Vietnam was such, and it may still be, I don't know, such a vast jungle that the Vietnamese, they prepare in the jungle. They're ready for what's going to go down when you set foot on their territory. You hear what I'm saying? And so the United States had to pack their bags up and get up out of there because of the loss of life. And that would be the same thing with China. We are not prepared for China. China has, what, a trillion people over there? And we don't know who, I don't know, I should say, who all their allies are either, which just makes it that much worse for the United States. But my point is that they made a statement, and you can go and look it up, the statement that China made, that they're ready for any kind of war that the United States is ready to bring to their doorstep. You hear me? As well as on these tariffs, which are quote unquote such a great thing, Canada has implemented their own tariffs. They say, well, we can do the eye for the eye thing. It ain't no thing, because just because, or in Americans' minds, for whatever reason, that we only get imports, that we don't export anything. We don't deliver goods to other countries. We only get the goods from other countries. But in all reality, the United States does a lot of export as well. And so Canada said, all right, well, you want to tax us? We're going to tax you back. So now it's a back and forth tax war that's going on because we have an ignorant cabinet, president, and whomever else around him in office, y'all. Point blank, period. So Ontario mentioned that they're going to pull all of the alcohol off of a certain shelf, or a certain business shelf, and it's the largest export of alcohol from the United States to Canada that they're going to pull off of the shelves, which means that whomever was getting money by exporting their goods, which is their alcohol, to Canada or to Ontario, is going to lose a lot of money. But yet, he bragged about how he loves the farmers here and how the farmers are going to get first, dibs, I should say, on being able to put their goods in the local markets. But you have to understand that farmers don't just get money in their own country, obviously. They get money as well by exporting their goods. And they may actually get more money through export than they do by selling locally. But yet that's not being said. He's only touching on the fact that it won't be as many foreign fruits and vegetables and things on the shelf. It'll be more American grown foods and fruits on the shelf, which is good to a certain extent, but it's also bad. Because like I said, these people depend on the export just as much as they depend on the local community. But he ain't mentioned that. He's not going to mention that. He's just going to boast and brag and make it seem like everything that he's doing is good for this country, but it truly isn't. And there's so much more that I wrote down and I want to talk about, but I got to read over my notes and stuff so that I could be a little bit more clearer, as well as give you more details on certain things that he's doing, man. But this guy is terrible for this country, point blank, period. You know, the vice president, he is nothing but a puppet to where Trump has his hand in his back, and this idiot went over to and had a meeting with the European countries. And he made a statement, and you go look this up, the statement that the vice president made when he was visiting the European countries and the European leaders. And that made them upset. He only had like 2 people, and this is the honest to God truth. Only like 1 or 2 people actually clapped for him when he made this statement. But in return, the German president or German representative got on stage and basically told him what he said is unacceptable. So when I tell you that this presidency is going to be the start of World War III, they're going to be the ending of what we know as NATO and what we know as our alliances, that's all going to end, and we're going to do a complete turnaround and be a completely different society if we keep going in the direction that we're going in. One thing which is great about the USAID and about the funding, it was billions of dollars that, once again, this presidency was trying to stop from having to issue out for the USAID department in order to keep these people that are in need taken care of. He tried to stop that, and he used the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court stepped in and vetoed what he was trying to do and told him, no, y'all are going to have to send this money over to these people. So the Supreme Court, at least some of them, because you still have parts of the Supreme Court. For example, one of the guys is the one that helped stop the actual convicting of this president for the uprising that we all know he actually started, and he was the reason behind this uprising. And one of the Supreme Court judges, he's the one that stepped in and stopped the convicting of him from happening. And so you still have certain ones on that Supreme Court that are going to be loyal to this guy. But majority, you had to have a majority in order for anything to be overturned. So right now, the majority is on the right side of the fence right now, because they can see that this guy is truly a one-sided, dictator-minded person. But yeah, I want to speak on those things. It was actually more I wanted to speak about, but at least I got some of the stuff out there, and I feel like these things are some of the more important things as well, you know. And he may have made some good points. I can't say, but all I know is that this guy tries to make everything that he does seem like it's the right thing. You got whatever that lady name is wearing a hat in the audience saying that everything that Trump does is right or something she said. And lo and behold, this idiot of a president that's in office is actually selling hats. Since when does a president sell hats and sell shirts? And what, I mean, really, what is this? I mean, it's truly a sideshow act that's going on in the White House right now. I mean, literally, this guy is selling merchandise with with slogans and things on it as if that's normal. Dude, you're a president. What you fundraising for? Just to put more money in his pocket? Because like I say, he already has a crypto, which that crypto ain't going to nobody but him. Y'all, it's time to wake up, man. I swear it is. This dude is, I'm telling you, it's a scary thing knowing that this guy is going to be in this White House, as far as we know it, for the next 4 years. I mean, it literally hasn't been 3 months yet. And this dude has done more damage to this country than any president ever has done in 4 years, if you ask me. But yet you let him tell it. The critics say, I'm the best president ever. I'm even better than George Washington. And these are the words out of his mouth. Even though I can't say whether or not I am, but that's what the people say. Who cares what they say? They're a bunch of followers anyway that don't have their own way of thinking. You know, I had this lady the other day ask me, have you done your taxes yet? I said, no. She said, well, you need to do your taxes because you're going to get back $2,000 this year and you're going to get back $5,000 next year because of Trump. I don't know how you feel about Trump, but because of Trump. And I want to say to her, well, man, what about your Medicare, your Medicaid that you're going to lose more than likely? And I say that because the lady was sitting there on a breathing machine and could barely even walk, smoking a cigarette as if it was just the best thing ever, and was in the worst shape, and just bad shape. And she was an older lady. But all they thinking about is when they give you the crumbs. They're not thinking about the long term, because that little $2,000, that $5,000, think about it. $2,000, that ain't even enough a month to live off of if that's all you getting. So $2,000 ain't gonna make or break me. Not if it's gonna cost millions of dollars in the long run. But yeah, I want to say to her, man, you're gonna lose your Medicaid and you ain't gonna be able to get the medication and stuff that you need to keep yourself well. But I'm not gonna go into that with people. You understand? I'm gonna let them feel how they feel and let them think how they think, because I'm not here to argue with you. I make my point on here. You understand? Because people are ready to fight and kill over this ignorant guy that's in office. You understand? The only thing I'm ready to die for is for Jesus. I ain't ready to die for this country. This country truly has not done anything for me. It was always God and Jesus. And that God that's on our tag and on our money is not the same God that created this earth. The end God that this country believes in is Satan, Lucifer. You know, even the president that said it himself in so many words. I'm very superstitious. Yeah, you superstitious because you don't have any type of religion. You don't have a true belief to be superstitious about something. You understand what I'm saying? Opening the umbrella inside the house and stepping on a crack or cutting a pole. And who cares about that nonsense? Let's look at reality. Let's face the truth and the facts of life. And that's what he's lacking, because he's superstitious, y'all. He doesn't have anything concrete, anything that's stable to rely on. Because anybody in their right mind know that superstition is just that, something that's made up and is not real. It's time to face the facts, y'all. It's time to start getting away from this entertainment-based government that we have right now. And we got to force these people up out of there, because they're going to be the utter destruction of this country. But hey, I'm going to head on into the job, y'all, and y'all take it easy. It's your man Cam. I'll talk to you later.